Hello, Sound Advice viewers. Imagine this, you're home alone enjoying a quiet afternoon when suddenly a wave of dizziness hits you. One of your arms starts to feel heavy, difficult to move. No one is around. Would you know what's happening? Stroke, ladies and gentlemen, waits for. No one doesn't need a clear reason to appear, and it doesn't care where you are or who you're with. Sadly, many of us, especially older adults living alone, are unaware that we could become a victim right in our own familiar homes. According to the American Stroke Association, every 40 seconds, someone in the U.S. has a stroke. And for many, it happens when they are completely alone. So the question is, would you know what to do to survive if that misfortune happened to you? In today's video, we're going to delve deep into this critically important topic. I'll share with you 5 essential survival actions when you're facing a stroke with no one resultados to help. We'll also learn about the early, sometimes very silent symptoms that you absolutely must not ignore. I'll also explain the fundamental differences between common types of strokes and why early recognition is so crucial in the initial response. An issue algol it duknyak den but incredibly dangerous is the warning signs of a stroke that can occur even while you're sleeping. And finally, for those who have experienced a minor stroke or are simply living alone and want to proactively protect themselves, I'll share important survival reflex exercises. Now let's start with the most important foundation. 5 actions that can save your life when you're facing a stroke all by yourself. The first and most crucial step is to recognize the symptoms, and especially the signs that are easily missed. Most of us have heard of the FAST acronym from the American Heart Association: F for face drooping, for arm weakness, S for speech difficulty, and T for time to call 911. This is an excellent tool. Try to check yourself, look in a mirror, and try to smile. Does one side of your face droop? Raise both arms, close your eyes. Does one arm drift downward? Try to say a simple sentence. Is your speech slurred or hard to understand? If you notice any of these signs, time is precious. But beyond FAST, there are other signs, sometimes very subtle, that many people often overlook until it's too late. It could be a sudden mild confusion where you suddenly feel disoriented even in your own home. It could be a transient vision change in one or both eyes, like blurred vision, double vision, or even temporary vision loss. A sudden, severe, unusual headache, unlike any headache you've experienced before, is also a serious warning sign. Sudden dizziness, loss of balance, or difficulty with coordination also need attention. And a special situation to be mindful of is when a stroke occurs while you're sleeping. This can be harder to recognize, but it's not without signs. If you wake up and feel one arm or leg is severely numb, difficult to move for no apparent reason, or when you yawn and feel one side of your mouth is crooked, sometimes it's just a stiff feeling in one arm or leg when you try to stretch after sleeping. Never be complacent about these unusual sensations. Medicamenti you've just woken up, especially if they only occur on one side of your body. Recognizing these signs, no matter how small, is the first key to saving yourself. As soon as you recognize any of these symptoms, whether clear or vague, the next action must be taken immediately. Call emergency services and utilize every technological means you have. Calling 911 or your local emergency number is the top priority. Don't hesitate. Don't wait to see if the symptoms go away on their own. Every minute that passes, millions of brain cells can be permanently damaged. Even if your speech is affected, try to say the word stroke. Dispatchers are trained to recognize this situation. If you can't speak, don't hang up. Many emergency systems can locate you through your phone signal. For older adults, living alone, preparing backup communication methods is extremely important. Your smartphone is a powerful tool. Activate voice-activated emergency calling features like, "Hey Siri, call 911," or "OK, Google call emergency." Many phones also have a feature where repeatedly pressing the power button activates an SOS call. But don't stop there. Consider wearable medical alert devices. With just one button press, you can connect immediately to a help center. Smart speakers in your home like Amazon Echo or Google Home can also be set up to make emergency calls via voice command. Even a simple agreement with a neighbor about a common alarm signal, for example, a special bell, or knocking on the wall in a specific rhythm, could save your life if you can't reach your phone. The important thing is that you must set up and practice these methods before an emergency occurs. After you've called for help, the third step is to help medical personnel access you as easily as possible. Think about it, every moment they are delayed outside your door is precious time wasted. If you can still move, try to unlock the main door. If you live in an apartment building with multiple security doors, try to move as close to the main entrance as possible. Turn on all the lights, especially porch lights or lights near windows to help medical personnel find your home easily, especially at night. Position yourself where you can be easily seen, for example, near the front door or in the living room. While waiting, if possible, prepare some important personal medical information. The U.S. National Institutes of Health, NIH, recommends having a list of your current medications, including dosages, information about underlying conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, or previous strokes, any drug allergies, and contact information for your family doctor and emergency contacts. You might have already prepared such an emergency medical information kit. Keep it in an easily accessible place. This information will help the medical team make quicker and more accurate treatment decisions when they arrive. Once you've ensured medical personnel can enter, the fourth step is to position your body and your space safely. This is when you need to fight the instinct to stand up or walk around. Many people have fallen and suffered serious additional injuries by trying to move while experiencing weakness or dizziness from a stroke. The safest position recommended by medical experts, including those from the American Stroke Association, is to lie on your side. If possible, elevate your head slightly with a thin pillow or a soft item. Lying on your side, often called the recovery position, helps keep your airway clear and reduces the risk of choking if you vomit, a symptom that can occur during a stroke. Absolutely do not eat or drink anything at this time. A stroke can affect your ability to swallow, and trying to eat or drink can lead to choking, which is dangerous. Furthermore, some stroke treatments cannot be administered if you've recently eaten. Loosen any tight clothing around your neck, chest, or waist to ensure you can breathe easily. Try to stay calm. Breathe deeply and steadily. Panic can raise your blood pressure and make the situation worse. And the final step in these 5 life-saving actions, but no less important, is to document the progression of your symptoms to optimize later treatment. The most critical piece of information doctors need is the exact time your symptoms started. Why? Because many of the most effective stroke treatments, such as the clot-busting drug TPA tissue, plasminogen activator for ischemic stroke, can only be used within a very narrow time window, typically within 3 to 4.5 hours from the onset of the first symptom, according to guidelines from the American Heart Association, American Stroke Association. If you can note this time on a piece of paper or use a notes app on your phone. If writing is difficult due to hand weakness or tremors, use your phone's voice recording feature. State clearly, "It is now time I started feeling symptom." Also note which symptom appeared first and whether they have changed or worsened. This information, however small, can help doctors make the most appropriate diagnosis and treatment plan for you. Understanding and implementing these 5 steps can make the difference between survival and disability, or even death. But our knowledge shouldn't stop there. To truly protect ourselves proactively, we need to recognize even earlier warning signals. Yes, we need to learn about early symptoms, small signals that can herald a major impending risk. Sometimes our bodies send out warning signs days or even hours before an actual stroke. These could be transient ischemic attacks or TIAs, which many people call mini strokes. The symptoms of a TIA are similar to an actual stroke. For example, weakness or numbness on one side of the face arm, or leg, difficulty speaking, blurred vision, but they only last for a short time, usually a few minutes to less than an hour, and then disappear completely. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, emphasizes that a TIA is an extremely serious warning sign. About one-third of people who have a TIA will have an actual stroke within a year if not treated. Therefore, even if the symptoms have passed, you still need to see a doctor immediately. Besides TIAs, other early warning signs might include an unusual headache with no known cause, different from headaches you usually experience. You might see flashing lights in your vision or experience sudden transient double vision. A feeling of weakness or clumsiness in an arm or leg that lasts only a moment and then resolves should also not be ignored. And as mentioned earlier, if you wake up with numbness on one side of your face or an arm or leg that you can't explain, be extremely cautious. It might not be simply because you slept on your arm, but a subtle signal from your brain. Listening to your body and not downplaying unusual changes, no matter how small, is the first step in proactive prevention. And speaking of proactive prevention, this is an extremely important aspect, especially for those of you living alone or those who have a history of stroke. We will now move on to proactive prevention for those living alone. This isn't just about taking medication on time or eating healthily, but also about developing an emergency plan in survival reflex exercises. If you've had a minor stroke or TIA, practicing emergency reflexes is essential. Practice how you would activate your smart speaker with your voice, even if you feel your voice is a bit unusual. Try practicing raising both arms quickly, imagining one arm is becoming weaker. More importantly, create a scenario. If this happens, what will I do? Similar to how we conduct fire drills. Who will you call first? Where is your phone kept? Where is your emergency medical information? Rehearsing these steps mentally or even practicing them can help you react faster and more calmly when the real situation occurs. Besides that, set up a defense system around you. A home blood pressure monitor is a worthwhile investment. Set an alarm to remind you to check your blood pressure every morning, especially if you have a history of high blood pressure. Establish a routine of texting or calling a friend or relative for a daily check-in. If they don't hear from you by a certain time, they'll know to check on you. Today's smart home technologies also offer many solutions, such as motion sensors that can detect irregularities in your daily activity and send alerts to loved ones. These measures not only bring peace of mind, but can also genuinely save your life. And after all this cautionary and technical information, I want us to look forward with hope. We'll turn to a short story of recovery and hope. Imagine Mary, 72 years old, living alone in a small town. One morning, she woke up and felt her left arm was significantly weaker and her speech had become slurred. Recalling information she had seen on a health program, she immediately recognized the signs of a stroke. Though frightened, she managed to reach for the landline phone she kept beside her bed and dialed 911. She only managed to say, "Stroke, help," before her speech became more difficult. Thanks to her quick reaction and because she had left her front door slightly ajar every night before bed, as her daughter advised, the emergency team arrived promptly. Mary was taken to a stroke center and received thrombolytic therapy. Her recovery journey was not easy, with lengthy physical therapy and speech therapy sessions. But with perseverance, the support of her family and the medical team, she gradually regained her mobility and communication abilities. Mary's story and countless similar stories are vivid testaments that a quick response and correct knowledge can work wonders. The core message here, ladies and gentlemen, is time is brain. Every minute of delay means more brain cells are lost. And just as importantly, living alone does not mean you are helpless when facing a stroke. With the right knowledge, prior preparation, and the courage to act, you can do more than you think to protect yourself. Stroke centers and hospitals across this country are equipped to help you, but they can only do so if you reach them in time. So we've gone through important information on how to recognize, respond to, and prevent a stroke when alone. I hope these insights provide you with useful knowledge and a necessary sense of confidence. To further equip yourself with deeper understanding, I encourage you to watch other videos on the Sound Advice channel, where we will continue to explore topics such as silent strokes, small strokes that may not cause obvious symptoms but still cause brain damage, less common stroke signs in women or younger people, or daily lifestyle habits that can help protect your cerebrovascular health. And finally, I want to send you a gentle but firm call to action. Prepare today because you won't have time to prepare in the moment of crisis. Share this information with your loved ones, especially those who live alone. Knowledge is power, and in the case of a stroke, it truly is life-saving power. Thank you for your time. Stay healthy and always be proactive in protecting yourself. See you in the next Sound Advice programs.